Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Scent Memories. I'm really excited to share with you guys my thoughts and opinions on my top 20 niche fragrances for summertime. So, if you want to know what that is, don't go away. So welcome back everyone. I'm really excited to share with you guys my thoughts on my top 20 niche fragrances for summertime. These are not my top 20 fragrances overall, but these are the ones on my collection. They're not in any specific order, so let's just get into it. The first one with an honorable mention is from the house of Nishane, and this is called Cologne or Cologne. This is a very unique bottle design for Nishane. They usually come in a square-shaped bottle. Some of them come in a rounder bottle, but this one is a unique bottle design. I absolutely love this one. This is all about the florals, the white florals, the jasmine, the green tea, the bergamot, and the neroli. If you're not a fan of neroli, if you don't like jasmine or floral notes, you probably won't like Cologne, but I absolutely love this one. The longevity is fantastic. It is an extrait de parfum, which means it is the highest concentration in perfumery. It lasts on my skin about 10 to 12 hours. It is really, really fantastic. I love this one. So that is Cologne from Nishane. Starting with my number one, this is going to be from the house of Dmitry Bortnikoff or Bortnikoff. This is going to be Amber Cologne. So Amber Cologne was composed by Dmitry Bortnikoff. He is the perfumer behind this composition. He's a kind of a one-man show, and he does fragrances in a way that I think is bar none some of the best in the business. They're so fantastic, but this is one of the more wearable compositions from the house. It is extremely inviting. It is not an amber fragrance. When you think of amber, or you think of a darker, kind of a more resinous fragrance, this is not amber. This is ambergris or ambergris. For those of you who don't know, ambergris is a very rare fragrance or raw material used in fragrances. It is very expensive, and to use them is very costly. He uses real ambergris in his fragrances, so for a 50 ml, this runs you about $180. Which is extremely affordable given the fact that he uses such high quality materials. This is all about, again, the pink pepper and the lemon and the kind of the citrus bouquet in the top notes, but it becomes much more of a floral fragrance. This is all about the florals for me. The jasmine and the frangipani and some of the cardamom there, and there's a little bit of a musky vibe in the base. This has oud listed in the notes. I don't get any oud at all. It's very floral and very citrusy. My only problem with this one is the longevity. The longevity could be much better. And it lasts about 3 to 4 hours on my skin, and then it becomes a skin scent. But I still love this one. It is really fantastic. Moving on to the next composition is from one of my favorite houses, and this is from the house of Fragrance du Bois, and this is called London Oud. So London Oud is all about the citrus notes in the top. You're going to find in these compositions, citrus is going to be one of the most prominent notes in the top of the fragrances. This is going to be all about bergamot and mint and lavender, some jasmine in the top notes, but it is a absolutely stunning and very well blended marine aquatic for the summertime. If I was to say my favorite marine aquatic fragrance in my entire collection, London Oud by far takes the cake. It is an absolute stunner. It's got citrus and it's got cardamom. It's got cedar and a little bit of vanilla in the base. There is oud. There's oud listed in the base. I don't get any oud. If it's there, it's very, very faint. My only problem with Fragrance du Bois is a lot of their compositions, especially their summertime fragrances, don't last very long. I get about 8, maybe 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours, if that. But this one is so good. I love it. It's got a sea salt marine quality to it. It's very airy. It's very fresh. Let me just show you guys a sprayer real quick. You can see. You know when you smell a fragrance and it's just that damn good? Yeah, that's London Oud. It's so fantastic. The sprayers are comparable to Roja Dove, where they're highly controllable. They're very, very fine dispersion of the juice inside, but it is a very high quality dispersion of the juice. So that is London Oud. Moving on from London Oud and sticking with the same house is called Oud Bleu Intense. So Oud Bleu is a little bit of a different composition than Oud, London Oud. It is a, it's not a blue fragrance like those you find in like Dior Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel. It has a spicy kind of a aromatic features from the top with the cardamom and the nutmeg, but you get still that bright citrusy opening of bergamot and mandarin. But it's got that frankincense and myrrh in the base. And the frankincense and the myrrh is almost resinous and creamy, and it gives this fragrance a very well-rounded profile. I absolutely love London Oud. Again, my only, my only problem, my only issue with these fragrances is the longevity. I get 5 hours, maybe 6, if that. But it's so damn good. When I want a really, really well-blended, sea salty aquatic, I usually reach for London Oud. And if we haven't talked about the presentation for Fragrance du Bois, it is extremely stunning. It is really, really, really elegant. The caps are heavy metal, just like Xerjoff's and just like Roja's. They're really, really well made, and a luxury presentation if there ever was one. So Fragrance du Bois, Oud Bleu. Moving on to the next one from Fragrance du Bois is called Oud Vert. So Oud Vert is a kind of a green, spicy fragrance, and one of my absolute favorites for summertime. I love this one. This again is a mixture of bergamot in the top notes, but you get this gingery accord, which you definitely get the ginger off the top, and it's got kind of a floral mid of geranium and coriander, but it's got this this nice heavy base of, I think it's, I don't know if it's leather or labdanum, but it almost has like a almost a leathery accord, but it's definitely got this this musky vetiver cedar dried down. You get those woods and you get the green earthy vetiver, but it's so well blended that you can't detect all those notes individually. It's very, very well blended, and it's extremely smooth and elegant. I love this one. My only problem with this one, again, is the composition doesn't lend itself to a very high longevity. It's about 4 to 5 hours on skin, and then it dies down. It might be a becoming nose blind or anosmic to those fragrances. That's possible, but I don't usually pick up the notes after about 5 hours. Moving on to one of my favorite perfumers and one of my favorite houses on the planet. This is from Roja. This is Harrods Parfum pour Homme. This is a Harrods exclusive. I did review this one during my Roja exclusives video. This is an aromatic fougere. For those of you who don't know, a fougere is a fragrance that is fern-like. That is the actual French translation. Ferns don't have a smell. The actual plant, or the fern plant, doesn't have a smell. But when they created fougères, they created a fragrance or profile or genre that they think ferns might smell like, and then the fougere was born. This is a nod or an homage to classic men's fragrances from the 60s and 70s and 80s with a very modern twist. This is all about the bergamot in the top. You get a very citrus opening, a bright citrus effervescent opening, but then you get the geranium, the neroli, the vetiver. You get the oak moss, and the oak moss is prominent, but it's very smooth. And then you get the labdanum, and you get the musk, and you get a little bit of the heavier, stronger base notes. But again, this is an excellent, excellent fougere. I get about 8 to 10 hours on this one. This one you can wear dressed up or dressed down for summer in a nice blazer, in a casual pair of jeans, and a nice shirt. This is something that I think can be worn in a lot of different occasions. But because of its elegant and sophisticated structure, it might be better for a more dressed up occasion. That is Roja Harrods Parfum pour Homme. Moving on to the house of Boadicea the Victorious, this is called Valiant. So Valiant, and let's just, before we go on to the juice there, Valiant is an excellent, excellent composition from Boadicea the Victorious. One of my favorites from the house. One of my only gripes with Boadicea the Victorious, besides the price points, and this is a very expensive fragrance, this one ranges from, I think, about $800 to $900. I know, it's insane. The construction of the bottles is pretty cheap. I'm gonna say it. The plastic caps and kind of cheap metal. For a $900 bottle, this should be very high quality construction of the bottle. I think the box or the presentation it comes in could be better too, but that's a different story. So you get this orange, mandarin orange, grapefruit accord in the top notes there. Wrapped around with jasmines and other florals. I think there's a ylang-ylang in here. And you get this ambery, patchouli, tonka bean kind of accord in the base with a very creamy sandalwood. I love this one for summertime. It's something that I wear when I want to feel very elegant and dressed up, but when I want to also impress, but in an understated way. When I don't want to walk into a room and someone says, "What are you wearing?" from 20 feet away. It's something that's going to sit a little close to the skin, but still have a nice sillage where people can smell it around you. Longevity, I get about 6 to 7 hours. Not great for the price point. Again, it could be better, but I love the scent so much that it's kind of okay. Moving on from Valiant is going to be, and I'm sorry guys, I'm just trying to put my bottles here. From the house of Roja Dove, that is going to be, Elysium. Now Elysium is one of those fragrances that I don't need to spend a lot of time talking about. This is a fragrance that is talked about ad nauseum from either 100 different reviewers or on Facebook groups or online somewhere. This is a modern fougere. You don't get the classic vibes like from Brut or from Aramis or from Jiki. You get a very, very modern, very wearable fougere. It can be worn by men in their early 20s or even younger to men above that age. It can be worn by women as well. This is very unisex, but in my opinion, leaning more masculine. This is all about the galbanum and the florals in the mid. It's got that bright citrus opening, just like Roja, does in all of his fragrances. It's got a very typical Roja DNA footprint in this one, but it's surrounded by those softer heart notes of the florals. It's got the pink pepper accords, and you get that peppery sort of a aromatic vibe in the mid that's rounded out by ambergris and labdanum and musk. It's a really wearable fragrance. I get about 8 hours, if not more, especially when I spray it on clothing. I usually layer this one with my Parfum Cologne version, which helps round out the fragrance and gives it better longevity. If you have both, try layering both. So moving on from my next, sticking with the house of Roja Dove, this is called Oceania. Oceania, I just did a review on. This is one of my absolute stunners and favorites for summertime. This one I picked up this year in 2020. This was created by Roja Dove to help preserve the oceans and the Great Barrier Reefs when he learned they were being destroyed. This is a very unique bottle design for a Roja Dove fragrance and a little bit of a departure from his usual darker, more Baroque, more sophisticated scents. And when I say sophisticated, I mean more of the homages to like a Chypre or a Oriental. This is a very wearable, highly effervescent, fun citrus fragrance, non-offensive in any way, shape, or form. This is all about the citrus bouquet of grapefruit, lemon, lime, bergamot, different florals like ylang-ylang and jasmine, and violet with the sandalwood and juniper and benzoin, I think orris in the base. But it's still highly wearable. You get this very beautifully, almost like lively citrus accord that stays with you throughout the life of the fragrance. It gives, because the fragrance has stronger base notes, it has excellent longevity. I get about 12 hours on my skin, which for a citrus fragrance is comparable to almost nothing, except for a few that you'll see coming up. So that is Oceania from Roja Dove. If you don't have this one, give it a shot. It's really fantastic. Moving on. So this is, again, from the same house. And this one I just reviewed as well. From Roja Dove exclusives. This one is called Oligarch. Oligarch is a Roja Dove exclusive. I think it's a Russian exclusive. And my God. Hold on a second. That's really good. I'm going to spray this one on my skin right now. This one is absolutely fantastic. One of my top, I would say top 3 for summertime, maybe top 5 if I'm pushing it. This is so damn good. This is all about the citruses in the top. There's an aromatic accords of lavender and thyme with bergamot and I think orange. But it's got these stronger base notes of pink pepper and anise, like star anise, which is a kind of a pungent and very aromatic spice. It's got tonka bean, it's got juniper berry, it's got oak moss, and the oak moss lends this fragrance to a more of a gentlemanly feel, which it gives it a classical kind of a more of a sophisticated profile. But it's extremely wearable. It does have, and it does hint at Terre de Hermes, but this shouldn't be even compared. This is such a higher quality juice. They're not even in the same ballpark. This is a very, very sophisticated version of that. And the quality of materials here that Roja uses is beyond that of Terre de Hermes. How he manages to use so many notes in all of his compositions and they're so well blended is beyond me. I still have not figured that part out because they're so well blended that you can't pick each one out individually, but they're there. Oh, this is absolutely fantastic. Longevity, I get between 8 and 10 hours, so really good. This one can be worn dressed up or dressed down. I love that one. Moving on to one of my favorite houses again. This is going to be from the house of Xerjoff, an Italian house. This is from their 1861 collection. This is called Renaissance. I don't need to spend a lot of time on this one. You've seen this one probably in 1,000 different reviews. This one is all about the citruses, the bright citruses on the top notes. It has a somewhat floral mid, but the base of the woody base of the cedar and the musk contribute to a long, more rounded composition. But what I get from this one mainly is citruses. It's such a bright, happy, really lively citrus fragrance, and it is one of the longest lasting in my entire collection. I put this one on in the morning. I can still smell it in the evening, which for a citrus fragrance is almost unheard of. Yeah, it's got the musk and the ambers and the dry down, and it's got your cedar, those woodsy base woodsy notes in the base, which again gives it a more rounded composition. But it's something that is so well blended that I mostly get those really bright citrusy accords, which I love. Moving on to, again, from the house of Xerjoff, one of my absolute favorites for summertime, one that I wear very often. This is called Neo. So Neo is from the Shooting Stars collection, and Neo is a citrus fragrance apart from anything else. And this has been talked about ad nauseum again, so I won't spend too much time on this one. But this is all about the bergamot and the neroli, but it's got a deeper, darker heart and base, which I think takes this into a different direction besides a citrus fragrance. It's not just a citrus fragrance. This has a woodier base with Haitian vetiver, and it's got some florals in the mid, but this is all about the cardamom and the nutmeg with that cedar and that woodsy base. It almost goes in a fougere direction. It's not a fougere, but it almost goes into a fougere direction that is so well blended that it's really not a note picker. You can't pick apart those notes, but it's so sophisticated. It's so classy. I love this one. If you can't tell how much juice I've used in a collection of my size, it's pretty remarkable that I've used this much juice, and that gives you an idea of how much I love this one. This lasts all day on my skin, about 10 plus hours, which again for a citrus-based fragrance is remarkably excellent. So that is Neo. Moving on from, again, the same house, this is from their V collection, and this is called Erba Pura. Erba Pura is a fruity floral. I can't talk today. It's Friday. I just move on past that inability to speak English today, guys. This is a fruity floral, unlike any other fruity floral. This goes in a direction of a musky fruity floral. It is so lively, happy, but also very wearable. I don't usually love a fruity floral fragrance. I do like some. This is my favorite out of all the fruity florals that I've smelled. It's almost like a fruit basket mixed with some floral notes that are just kind of sitting on the table next to you, and you're smelling that fruit basket. And it's got that musky dry down, but not like a harsh or almost like an attic-like musk. It's a very soft musk, and it's lending itself to the fragrance, but it's wrapping itself in this floral, fruity mid, which I love. It's really fantastic. The one thing to note about Erba Pura is its longevity is beastly. It lasts between 10 to 12 hours on my skin, if not longer. I can smell this one the next day when I wake up on my skin. It's really that strong. So be careful with the sprays on this one. It is really fantastic. And I love this soft velvety turquoise that it's wrapped around in. It's really nice. That is Erba Pura. Keeping with Xerjoff, this is from the Casamorati collection, and this is called Mephisto Gentle Uomo. Wait, I'm gonna try that one again. Mephisto Gentle Uomo. Whatever. You guys get it. You get where I'm coming from. This is an absolutely fantastic, almost barbershop-like fragrance. For those of you who don't know, this definitely has reminiscence of Creed's Silver Mountain Water. It has that black tea note that they both share. But this goes into a barbershop direction, which I absolutely love. When I want a barbershop fragrance that has a happy citrus opening, but also goes in a different direction, I usually reach for, almost always, for Mephisto Gentle Uomo. This is bergamot and lavender and different kinds of aromatic notes in the top, but it's got iris and vetiver and I think some cedar. You get the iris. It's a powdery iris, but it's not a lipsticky makeup bag iris. It's a very soft and, in my opinion, very wearable iris. I'm not one who's a fan of iris, but with this one, it's so well blended that you don't really detect it very well. There is amber listed in the base. I don't really get an amber accord, but it lends itself to probably giving it better longevity. Unfortunately, I don't get good longevity with this one. I get about 4 hours and then it becomes a skin scent. But it's so sexy and so wearable and so incredibly happy that I don't really care. Moving on, if you guys can't tell, I have kind of a pattern of my favorite houses. Roja, Fragrance de Bois, Xerjoff. But this one is probably my top 3 from the house of Xerjoff, and in my collection, my top 5 favorite of all time. This is called Pikovaya Dama. So Pikovaya Dama is from their 1717 collection, their stone collection. And if you can't tell, it's got this really beautiful stone in the centerpiece here. It's a really pretty stone. Each of their 1717 collections has a unique stone, and it's really adds to the presentation value. This is so freaking fantastic. This is all about the aldehydes and the florals and a little bit of that musk. There is incense and iris and there's vanilla in here, and you can definitely pick those out in the base as it dries down. But off the top, you get bright citruses and you get bright aldehydes. It's a soapy, clean, almost laundry detergent aldehyde, and it's so damn good. There is a spicy accord here, like a coriander or a nutmeg accord you kind of pick up a little bit. It's definitely enveloped in this composition, but it's not something that's very standoutish. What I get mostly is the florals, the vanilla, and the aldehyde. The aldehydes, if you don't know, guys, is a note or an accord in fragrances, which is very soapy, very clean, kind of smells like laundry detergent or a laundry-like cleaner. This lasts on my skin though so long. I get 18 hours. Seriously, 16 to 18 hours on my skin, and more. It is one of the longest lasting fragrances in my collection. And when I want to wear something aldehydic, and clean but also elegant, I always go for Pikovaya Dama. This is a fragrance that is sophisticated and regal beyond anything else. This is something that when you wear it, people will notice this on you. This can be worn dressed up or dressed down, and it can be something that you would make an entrance into. This would be a talking centerpiece for the night for people, because this is something that is so elegant. I love it. Moving on to a different house. This is from one of my favorite houses, from a Turkish house called Nishane Ege. So Nishane, we talked about from the beginning of the video. This one is called Ambra Calabria. So Ambra Calabria is all about the amber, all about the bright citruses and the florals. There is this really pretty and beautifully well done floral composition that's wrapped around an amber. It's not a dark amber, it's not a heavy amber, and it's not even a resinous amber like you'd find in like a Grand Soir or a Ambre Rousse. This is a very light but also a very inviting amber, and it's wrapped around these floral notes, jasmine and coriander, and I think there's some vanilla in here with musk, but I get mostly that amber and those florals and that citrus. This one lasts on my skin really for a citrus fragrance, but with amber in it, I get about 10 hours. It's really good. I don't always reach for an amber-based fragrance in the summertime. It's only usually at night, but when I want to reach for a summertime fragrance that has amber in it, I always go for Ambra Calabria. This one is so fantastic. It could be worn dressed up or dressed down, but it's so versatile that you can wear it either way. It is really an excellent fragrance and one of my favorites from the house of Nishane. Moving on, let's go back to Xerjoff. This is one of my top 5 favorite gourmands ever. This is called Cruz del Sur. So Cruz del Sur is from the Shooting Stars collection, and this is all about the mango. This is a mango smoothie wrapped in a bottle. I mean, there's those milky accords, there's a little bit of a cedar, and there's some florals in the mid, but this is all about the mango. If you guys love mango, if you love gourmands, if you like, sweeter floral fragrance that's fruity, try Cruz del Sur 2. I haven't tried Cruz del Sur 1, but Cruz del Sur 2 is one of my favorites. When I want to reach for something that's really fruity, besides Herba Pura, when I want to reach for a really fun, happy gourmand in the summertime, there is nothing better than Cruz del Sur 2. I get about 6 to 8 hours of longevity there. It's not something that's going to be a beast mode fragrance, but it is so fantastic that, spray on in the morning, put it on in the morning, in the afternoon it might wear off, and then either spray it on again or put something else on. Oh, it's so damn good. It's so damn good. Let's go on to an exclusive from Xerjoff. This is I believe it's a Ford & Mason exclusive, and this is called Abrus, or Abru. Abrus is a exclusive which I featured in my exclusive Xerjoff video. This is, this is a unique Xerjoff in that it is citrusy and fun and bright, but it's got an incense note that is so unique to any other Xerjoff. It is a fougere. It's definitely classified as a fougere, but it's got this aromatic, almost floral mixture of thyme and basil and lavender. You get the elemi, you get the patchouli, you definitely get that the basil and the elemi there. That's what you get more than anything besides the incense. But it is extremely sophisticated. I would wear this one dressed up. You could wear this one in a casual setting, but I would recommend this one being dressed up. It is so damn good. I love this one. I get great longevity. I get over 8 hours on this one, 10 hours plus actually. That is Abru. So moving on, let's go back to my second or first favorite house. I would say tied for first. And this is my top 5 favorite fougères ever. This is called Danger. Danger is another one that we've talked, or people have talked about for, at least a year or 2 years, 3 years. It's been talked about for a long time. This is I think it's classified as an Oriental, but it definitely has a completely fougere profile to it. It is absolutely fantastic. There is that lemon and bergamot there, but you get the tarragon. I think there's some cumin listed in the notes here. There's that tonka bean, vanilla, oak moss, heart and base wrapped in this fragrance, and it definitely leans classic. I mean, this is a classic fougere if I ever saw one, but it is extremely wearable. I wear this one all the time. In the summertime, in the spring, in the winter, it is highly wearable. There's those woodsy accords that you definitely sense and pick up. There's a musky, almost vanilla quality to it. You get the patchouli. The patchouli is a green, somewhat earthy, but not a dirty patchouli, and not a head shop patchouli either. But it is damn good, and is one of my favorite fougères. I also layer this one with the Parfum Cologne version, so I get better longevity and a more rounded composition. And that one is Danger. Moving on to another Roja Dove. This one is called Scandal. So Scandal is a different fougere. It is in my opinion, a very barbershop fougere with a soapy nuance to it. You get the basil, you get the lemon, and you get the petitgrain right off the top of the notes. And you get that petitgrain similar to like a Xerjoff Neo, but it's a different petitgrain. Because it's mixed with florals and clove and cedar and musk and vanilla and other deeper, darker base notes, it goes in a classic, definitely classic fougere direction. You pick up the oak moss there, but that soapy barbershop note or kind of that nuance to this fragrance is very, very present throughout the life of the composition. It is fantastic. I wear this one when I want to wear something very sophisticated, but also not overly offensive. This is something that you will not ever offend anyone. I can't imagine anyone not liking this one. It is so well done. Roja again puts all his time and his effort and his mastery into the work. You don't pick up each individual note because it's so well blended. I don't know how he does it, but it's there. And it's really just a mastery of a Fougere composition. So moving on to my last and one of my favorite fragrances for summer. This is from the house of Byredo, and this is called Bal d'Afrique. Bal d'Afrique is a fragrance that I wasn't sure if I liked when I first smelled it. When I first picked it up a few years ago, I wasn't a big fan of florals, and I wasn't a big fan of jasmine. But there's definitely that jasmine violet feel to it. It's super bright, it's super citrusy, but it's all about the florals in this one. The florals and the citrus. You have other notes in here, like amber and musk, and I think there's some marigold in here. I pick up the marigold, but I guess I get a lot of florals and I get a lot of citrus accords here. Longevity here is fantastic and one of the best for a Byredo fragrance, which I don't usually find they have great longevity. I get about 8 hours plus in this one, and it is highly wearable and extremely inviting. This is definitely unisex, can be worn by men or women. In fact, I think any of these fragrances we talked about today are a unisex fragrance. There is a cedarwood, kind of almost a peppery accord in the base, a sort of spicy, almost woodsy, kind of a dry down, but it still stays very true to form, where it's floral and it's citrusy and it's really effervescent. I love it. So that was my top 20, guys. I'm sorry I went a little over what I wanted to go. It's kind of a longer video. I really appreciate you all sticking around and watching my top 20. Let me know what your top 20 fragrances are for summer, or what your favorites that you wore last summer, and what are you planning on wearing this summer for summer 2020. Also, if you haven't, I would love if you guys can subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell for notifications of any future videos, content, and giveaways. As always, please be kind to each other and stay safe. Thanks, everyone.